Today we will be taking a look at introductions in our writing. We have two different teaching points we're going to focus on today. Our first one is I can organize my writing. We're going to take a look back at our table of contents and make sure it makes sense. Secondly, I can write a strong introduction chapter. First of all, writers have a purpose to the order they've selected. Think back to the mini lesson that was done during reading about giving somebody a tour of our school. When you walk in, we would have a purpose for everything we do. Some of you had mentioned that you go to the front office first, so students know where to check in the morning if they're ever late. You then said you would walk down the hallway, show where the lockers are, show where the classroom is, and then on to specials. This order made sense because it's the order in which the students would pass by each of these areas in our school. Others of you had the order that we had called chronological. And a chronological order means that you're going to walk somebody through our day of school in order. So for example, you would show them in the morning where to come in at first. You would then show them where their classroom is, what to do in the morning, and you would walk them through each of the subjects where they need to be and when. Let's take a look over here at my table of contents. I noticed that I start with an introduction, which makes perfect sense. Then I go into my big topic, immigration. Next, I talk all about Ellis Island. Ellis Island is the location where immigrants often came through first. After I talk about the island, then I'm talking about reasons that people would be coming to the island. And finally, my conclusion. If you look closely at these chapters, it seems like two of them need to be switched. Give me a thumbs up when you see which ones I would want to change in order to make my project in chronological order. If you said chapter 3 and 4 needed to be switched, you're absolutely right. I should first talk about push and pull factors. I should then talk about Ellis Island. This makes sense because first people were pushed or pulled to the country, and then they went through Ellis Island. Now let's take a look at the order that you've selected for your table of contents. We know in mine I'm going to switch these two chapters, chapter 3 and 4, around. Let's look at yours and ask those same two questions. First of all, what order did you choose for your informational writing? And why did you choose that order? We always want to have a purpose in what we do. Go ahead and turn and talk with your partner and discuss these two questions. At this point, we need to be open to the opportunity to make some changes. We know that your audience is more apt to learn more if you start in a way that explains what they will learn and really have a good order about it. So now I want you to think, what could change in your table of contents? After you're done turning and talking with your partner, if you decide to make some of those changes, you're going to mark it right on your page. Go ahead and turn and talk on what could change. Finally, I want you to think about what other information do you need to gather for each of these chapters. We know we've been doing some research for weeks now, but now we want to think, what else do we need to figure out? I know in my notes I have quite a bit on Ellis Island, and I really need to figure out some more push and pull factors. So I'm just going to start thinking where I would go to find that and where I'm going to list it. The second thing we're going to look at today in writing is our lead. We know right from our checklist that there are some specific areas that we need to focus on. Let's check those out. Here it says I hooked my readers by explaining why the subject mattered, telling a surprising fact, or giving a big picture. I let readers know that I would teach them different things about a subject. Here's a great student example. I'm going to read it to you, and I want you to check and see how the student did some of the things up here, either explaining why it mattered, telling a fact, or giving the big picture. And finally, letting the reader know that they would teach them different things. Do you want to learn more about Ellis Island? Well, you've come to the right place. By reading this book, you will learn about push and pull factors. You will also learn more about Ellis Island and many other immigration facts. Go ahead and turn and talk. Why would this be a level 3 lead? This would be a level 3 lead for many reasons. First of all, we start here with a question right at the beginning. This gets your reader thinking, do I want to know? Well, if I do, I know where to read about it. They also told that they would teach different things. She said right here, by reading this book, you will learn about push and pull factors. You will also learn more about Ellis Island and many other immigration facts. This is the same as writing in our essays the thesis. We're going to look at another student example. Again, we're looking that they hooked the readers by saying why the subject mattered, telling a surprising fact, or giving a big picture. They also must say that they will teach them different things or say those different things. Everyone's ancestors have come to America at some point, unless your ancestors were Native American. So a lot of people want to know about immigrants and Ellis Island. They will find that information in this book. They will also learn why immigrants left their homelands and why they came. Turn and talk. Why is this also a level 3 or a great example of a lead? Now let's look at the lead that I had in my example book. The lead said, while our focus is on explaining the importance of Ellis Island and push and pull factors, it's important to first understand the background on what immigration is in general. It sounds to me like this is letting you know that I'm going to teach you different things, but it doesn't say why the subject matters, it doesn't tell a surprising fact, and it doesn't give a big picture. We know that every paragraph must have 4 to 6 sentences. Here's some changes I could make to this. First of all, I could start with immigration is important because the majority of Americans had family members who immigrated at some point. This is like a surprising fact right here. When people realize that, oh, my ancestors could be immigrants too, it gives them that personal point and it makes it more interesting. My second sentence said, even someone in your family. Isn't that interesting? In this project, you'll learn more about immigration, push and pull factors, and Ellis Island. So this last sentence again is our example of our thesis. So this would work just fine as an introduction. I have 4 to 6 sentences. I told an interesting fact, and what I did is I kind of stretched that interesting fact out. I said what immigration is, or why it's important. I said even someone in your family, and I asked a question, isn't that interesting? Then I stated my thesis. If you are shooting for a level 4 or an outstanding lead, here's an example of that. America is a land filled with immigrants. Sometimes America is called a melting pot because of all the cultures and different people coming to one place and combining the cultures into one great nation. While immigrants came for many different reasons and had very different journeys, one thing is for sure. Each person helps to make our nation the place it is today. My goal is that you become more of an expert on immigration. First, you will learn about what immigration is in general. Next, you will hear about the reasons people left their countries and came to a new place. We call these the push and pull factors. After that, you will learn all about Ellis Island and its purpose. Finally, we will wrap up with why all of this matters to you. Notice at the top, I tell my interesting fact, I give more background information, and this whole thing here is my thesis. I have broken my thesis into many sentences, starting with first and carrying on. What other transition words can you find in my thesis that show that I have made it into many different parts? Next is the second one. Then I said, after that. And then I said, finally. Either this option, like I'm showing you right now, which is a level 4 example, or the option before this that simply uses 4 sentences, are great ways to write an introduction chapter. Today you will organize your writing, and you'll make sure you write a strong introduction chapter. When you're done with that, you should be thinking about what else in your writing needs to have more information, and you may continue researching, or you can continue to write one of your other chapters. You will need to get your introduction chapter checked by a teacher when you are finished. Make it a great day.